Hopefully you had a chance to capture a classroom of a young lady who had an idea similar to the one that a black man had to educate his children on a riverboat, because at that time black children, black Americans could not be educated. So he took a boat and he educated them in the middle of the river. But this is not the middle of the river, and this is a young lady who didn't ask for worldwide donations to get a big school or do anything like that. She started in her home. She had a purpose, a goal, and she accomplished it. In the background, you see a picture that I tried to show you earlier. And in that background is the classroom and the small minds being educated about themselves and their ancestors, not miseducated or uneducated, but growing up knowing that from the very beginning of their life, they will be able to see themselves in their history, taught by somebody who loves them and what they do, and who is rolling out the blueprint for others who love their own to make history the truth and our children's historical health a priority. This is a portrait of a black teacher instructing, loving, and preparing our children for a world who has miseducated black children for so long that it seems to be normal in our community. But let's look at the evidence. The fact is, the miseducation of our children by the past and current education system is a crime against humanity, and the verdict based on the knowledge, actions, and behavior of our children is guilty on all counts. No one other than the example above can solve our children's educational problems like the love and the professionalism of the example above. Learning from black inventors at the age of 4, 5, 6 years old, etc., in addition to the core and mandatory subjects required of all students, tell me that's not a beautiful thing. If that's not black history, But let me tell you something. What you see in this image is more than a classroom now. You see children sitting on a rug, eyes lifted. You see small hands raised. You see a teacher standing before a wall that reads black inventions. You see letters, numbers, structure, order. You see intention. This is what it looks like when children are allowed to see themselves in history, not as footnotes, not as sidebars, not as trauma statistics, but as innovators, builders, creators, and problem solvers. For far too long, many black children have entered classrooms where curriculum began somewhere far away from them, where their ancestors appeared only during 1 month of the year, where their brilliance was too often reduced to a struggle alone. And when a child does not see themselves in the story of humanity, progress, they unconsciously begin to question whether they belong in its future. Representation is not a luxury, it is a psychological oxygen. When a 4-year-old learns that people who look like them created, invented, engineered, transformed the world, something powerful happens inside their developing mind. Their imagination expands, their posture changes, their confidence grows roots. Instead of asking, can I, they begin to say, I will. This is not about replacing core academics. It's about strengthening them, Teaching about black inventors along with math, reading, and science does not divide education, it deepens it. When children learn the alphabet under the banner of innovation, they begin to count numbers beneath the names of creators. When they connect literacy to legacy, education becomes personal. It becomes alive. It becomes meaningful. The meaning learning sticks. Research consistently shows that culturally relevant education increases engagement, academic performance, and long-term achievement. But even beyond statistics, there's something human here that cannot be measured on standardized tests. Dignity. When a teacher stands before children with love in her posture and pride in her lesson, she is doing more than delivering information. Nene'S is shaping identity. She is modeling excellence. She is demonstrating that knowledge and love can live in the same room. Love and professionalism are not opposite. They are partners. Children learn best when they feel seen. They rise higher when they feel valued. They stretch further when they feel they are believed in. And what happens when a child grows up knowing their ancestors were inventors? They approach science differently. They approach engineering differently. They approach entrepreneurship differently. They do not see barriers as permanent. They see problems as invitation. This matters for their future. A child who understands innovation is part of the heritage and is more likely to pursue STEM fields, more likely to start businesses, more likely to challenge inequality and inequity, more likely to carry themselves with intellectual authority in rooms that were not designed with them in mind. Education shapes economic mobility. It shapes civic engagement. It shapes mental health. When identity and education are aligned, resilience increases. When children are taught the truth of their historical contributions, they are less likely to internalize narratives of limitation. And let us be clear, this is not about exclusion, it is about completion. It is about telling the full story. A nation is strongest when its children know the whole truth, who built it, when black children understand that their ancestors were not just laborers, innovators, just like, are not just survivors, but strategists, not just participants, but pioneers. They step into adulthood with a different internal script. They do not shrink, they build. The classroom is this image presents a blueprint, one that centers truth, pride, academic excellence. Together, it shows that early childhood is not too early to plant seeds of legacy. In fact, it's the perfect time because identity is forming, curiosity is blooming, belief is malleable, and belief is powerful. If a child believes they come from greatness, they are more likely to pursue it. If a child believes education is connected to their story, they are more likely to protect it. If a child feels that being loved while they learn, they are more likely to love learning. This is how you break the cycles, not with anger alone, but with intention. With complaint alone, no, but with construction. Not with despair, but with design. The future of black students does not belong in high school. It belongs on the rugs like this one, with teachers who understand that cultural truth, academic rigor can stand side by side, with classrooms that say from the very first years of your life, you belong in this story. You always have.